Jaime, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, you and I met, what was it? I want to say 8 years ago, right?
No. Yes, 8 years ago.
Time goes by real quick.
Really quick.
Really quick. So, you and
Especially when you're having fun.
I know, and you've been having fun.
I have been having fun.
We're gonna be talking about all your fun. I'm actually excited about this podcast because, um, you are one of those people that I remember. We work with a lot of clients, right? I've personally worked with over 1,000 clients,
Wow.
but I do tell you that you're one of the ones that I always remember, and I remember for many reasons, and we're gonna talk about that today. But I remember you and your husband walked into our office. You had already started a business. You wanted to turn it into a franchise. And we're going to talk about that whole journey and how you basically went from that day, which was 8 years ago, to sitting here today with 151 locations, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, Jaime, tell me a little bit um, about your background. So, I know you're an immigrant.
I am an immigrant.
So am I. So I want to hear your immigrant story. When did you guys get here?
I came to this country, this amazing country, when I was 19 years old. My mom won the visa lottery, and we were lucky that we could come together
From Cuba.
from Cuba.
Okay.
Correct. I was 19 years old. I'm not going to tell you how
No,
old
no,
I am.
we don't need to know.
A little bit ago.
25. 25.
So I came full of dreams.
Okay.
So, yes, 19. No English, so I had to learn the language. Like I think it's the same story that every immigrant that comes to this country has.
Right.
Nothing special.
Did you meet your husband, Jose, right?
Jose.
Jose, did you meet Jose here or in Cuba?
We met in Cuba. I was 13 and he was 14. So we are middle school sweethearts.
Okay.
So I came and he came like 5 to 6 months later on a raft. He's a balsero.
Okay.
So he came after. He was almost 21 when he made it here. So we have been together for a long time.
For a long time. And when you tell me living in Miami, obviously, and my wife is Cuban, we met in high school. So that was a few years back, and we've been together ever since. And so I've raised both of my kids here in Miami. So obviously, being in Miami, we're very involved in the whole Cuban
It's a very Latino
community, right? That's here. So I'm very familiar with how the Cubans arrive, and then they try to make a living out of whatever they have here, and typically they're very hardworking, right? So you got here, what was the first thing you did? Did you have someone to live with? Did you?
We were received by family.
Okay.
And we were with them like for about a month.
Okay.
And then we moved out. I remember trying to get a job as soon as possible. And I remember that I had to go and apply walking because I didn't have a car. I didn't know how to drive. And I was 19, and when you come from Cuba, there's so many things that immigrants from other countries are related to that we're not. Like I didn't know about having a bank account. Things as crazy as opening the faucet and having hot water and cold water, to me was something crazy. So by food, I started going to a shopping center next to my house. They had a Winn Dixie and they had other businesses. And I remember applying, hey, I'm new, can you give me a job? And that's the way that I started.
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage. I remember I found a job 5.15 an hour. I will never forget. And I didn't have a car, so one of my coworkers, my mom would take me, or anyone who I could ask for a ride. There was no Uber back then. So it was either by bus or asking someone to bring you. And I had this coworker, Gladys. I was always gonna remember that woman because she was so good to me. And I remember she would take me home, and sometimes she would go to my house and pick me up to take me to work. So I was in heaven I was working, learning a new language. Like, I was one of those immigrants that came here, and I was like, oh my God, I love it. Like, this is it. I am happy to be here.
So your journey reminds me of mine. When I arrived in the United States, I was 15 years old, and I, just like you, had to live with family
Yeah.
just because I have nowhere else to go. Don't speak the language, don't know the culture, don't know anything about anything, and I came in the middle of 11th grade. Middle of 11th grade. So now I'm entering high school, and high school is a pain to start with, and then now
Especially when you don't know the language.
you're a new kid,
Correct.
and you're starting the middle of the year, so everybody's got their friends already. Everybody got their friend groups and everything, and then here comes this new kid, weird kid. He doesn't even speak English,
Because the culture of shock is horrible.
and both you and I come from countries that are basically enemies of the United States. So I had to overcome all of that, right? And I got, just like you, I got a job, at minimum wage job, at an ice cream shop, which was Dairy Queen back then. And you mentioned your salary was $3.35.
Oh, wow.
I have a few years over you, so minimum wage back then was less. So when I started, one of the things that I learned is that, first you got to learn the job. But before you learn the job, you got to learn the language. But before you learn the language, you have to learn the culture, because otherwise you can't get the job done, right? So there's so much learning going on at the same time. And then I have the high school issues and everything else that everybody is dealing with. And it's like a brick that hits you in the face. But well, that's what makes your character. That's what makes you want to go harder and heavier,
Yep.
every day when you wake up. So okay, so you have this job at, I imagine at one point, the two of you got married and started living together, right?
We got married here
Mm-hmm.
and we started living together.
Okay.
Correct.
So when did you begin thinking about opening a business? Is this your insurance business? Is your first business you
It is
started?
my first business, and I say this everywhere. It's my husband's idea. I was just along for the ride. This is something that just came to me now, and I don't think I have said this publicly. I remember when I was 22,
Yeah.
my mom had a friend who had an insurance agency, and they were doing really good. My mom was always a business person. She had always that mentality, and but she didn't know the language, and she didn't feel that she could do it herself. So she tells me, I'm gonna bring you so you can talk to my friend, you can start working at that agency. And okay, mom, I'm gonna go. And the person tells me, oh, you have to get this license. It's like 200 hours, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, when I left, I said, I did not come to this country to get a 200-hour license. I came to this country to get the big degree. 20 years later, maybe 15 years later, I opened an insurance agency. So my mom could have saved me a lot of time, but that's destiny. I wanted to become, and I did. I got a master's degree in psychology. I was ready to start my career, and my husband calls me and says, hey, I need you to get an insurance license.
So you went and did the 200-hour thing.
And when I did, that was years later, I went and did the 200-hour thing. I got my license, and years later, this is what I live off. It's crazy how life circles back to you.
100%.
I know, and this I never remember until years into the business. One day I was in the office and I was like, oh my God, I just remembered that my mom took me to this woman. I think that was probably in 2001, and I opened the business in 2012,
So 10, 11 years later.
11 years before, correct.
But did you work in the insurance industry?
Never. We had no experience. I didn't know even who my insurance carrier was at the time because my husband took care of that. I was focused on getting my master's degree and starting my career in psychology. And I started working in the agency half time, but I felt bad because I was seeing patients, and my head was in the office in the insurance agency, and I should have not been thinking about that when you are talking to a patient. So I said, I'm gonna take a break and give you some time to help you out, build this business, and then I'm gonna go back to psychology. Never did.
Okay, so that's crazy. So you went you study something and then you open a business in a completely different field. You never I imagine you never practiced what you studied, right?
Only for a few months. I
Yeah.
think 6 months.
Yeah, supposedly statistically over 60% of people don't utilize their school degree for their career. In other words, they go to school, they study something, but then they decide to do something else. And and one of the things that I always say is that school never gives you the tools or the knowledge to open a business.
No.
They give you the tools to go become an employee,
Yeah.
right? So you basically follow a set of rules and study this, study that, but they never teach you even how to open a company.
That's true, but I am a firm believer in education, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because even if you don't use your degree, and you're right in the sense that they don't prepare you for what you really need to become an entrepreneur. But I think your brain develops in a way that does prepare you for that.
Right.
And everything that I learned in school, not everything, but most of it, I have used in this endeavor. Like, I acquired a little bit of knowledge in marketing, a little bit of knowledge in economy. Uh, what's the technology that we learned? Photoshop.
Right.
Things like that that does help you. It did help me for this business.
What I always say to people is that school gives you, imagine if you want to become a
They
mechanic.
prepare you to become an employee
That's
at
it.
a company. That's it.
But
That's true.
but even if you want to become, let's say, a mechanic, they give you a toolbox. They don't teach you how to fix the car. They just give you a toolbox. So now you have this toolbox, and you're gonna go on the job, learn how to change oil, fix the radiator, change tires, or any of that at the job. But you do have your tools with you, and you know
Yes,
how to use the tools.
correct.
That's exactly what school does. Actually an engineer. So when I went to engineering school, when I graduated, I graduated in dean's list and all of that. So I come out and get my first job, and they give me a circuit to design. It's actually a product that I had to design, and I'm like, how the heck do I don't even know where to start, right? So that's the type of things they don't teach you at all in school. They basically give you all these formulas, and I could solve all kinds of triple integrals and everything else, but I never they never taught me how to design a product.
The real world will
This
teach you
product, the
that.
microphone or something like. They don't teach you how to design the entire
Correct.
thing, but that's what you learn in the real world. Um, okay, so you start this insurance agency. I'm sure, like any other business, you had a lot of failures, issues, tough days. Talk to me about those. We talk about successes later, but I wanted to hear about your failures.
Imagine this. My husband rented an office that for someone who did not know anything about the insurance business, we had no connections. We didn't even know who to call to get a contract. That office was big for someone who didn't know what to do. Uh, and we started going to the websites of companies, finding out who the marketing rep was, and reaching out to them. And we got a rejection every single time. Every single time. We had customers, but we did not have carriers to insure those customers. It was painful. We were like that for almost 2 years.
Wow.
So we were paying rent. We had two carriers that we acquired, probably one 6 months into it, and then the other one probably 8 to 9 months into it. And we were selling to those carriers only because no one else would give us a contract. We were in debt. We had to ask friends and family for money because our savings were gone. Um, don't ask me why we kept on going. The only answer that I have for you is that quitting was never a choice. We knew that we could make it. We knew that we had the ability to make it work, and we kept on going. But it was very tough. And that's why when sometimes I talk to my franchisees, I tell them, listen, whatever complaints you have, I don't care because
Exactly.
you have it so easy. You have it so easy. Like you have no idea what it is to start a business with no resources at all. It's crazy. It's the hardest thing that I have ever had to done. And I'm an immigrant. I, you know, and still the business, it is the hardest thing that I have ever done in my life.
So statistically, Jaime, I can tell you this, that 50% of businesses that start fail within 1 year.
Hmm.
And 80% of them fail within 5 years. And the reason it happens is because a lot of people have those troubles that you just talked about. And you mentioned something very cool. You said failure is not an option. It's not an option for you, but it is an option for a lot of people. Because the easy route is to just say, screw this.
I tried it, it didn't work.
It didn't work. I gave it my best. It didn't work. Let me go do something else, right? A lot of people do that, right? But you are from a different DNA, right? You said failure is not an option. Even though you're failing, you're accepting and you're trying to find another road. In other words, you're going up this hill, you keep falling, you're injuring yourself, you're bleeding, people are turning around, but you continue going up.
Because your mindset says to you, this is hard. I still don't see the end. I don't see the light, but I am going to keep on going. And that's what you do. You keep on going. And then not everything is bad because, for example, when we get our first contract, you say, okay, we got something. Let's keep on. Like when you have it within you, you will not quit. And when you believe that you have the ability to do it, you are not focused on what's not working. You are thinking about how do I make it work.
A problem solver. That's what it is. For me, when somebody brings me a problem, I always tell them, I want, before you walk into my office, I want you to give me a problem. I want you to give me the solution first. In other words, if you're going to tell me the AC is broken, I want you to come in here and tell me, I have the AC guy on his way, but guess what? The AC is broken. So now you gave me the solution and gave me the problem.
Correct.
I don't want you to walk into my office with a problem. I don't want to give you the solution. You need to come and give me the solution. And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur. The mindset of an entrepreneur is to find the solution before the problem happens. In other words, see the problem is coming and have the solution ready so that when it hits you in the face, you can immediately go to work and solve the problem. So you got the contracts, you started getting your contracts, and you now have your business is rolling. At what point did you decide that one location isn't enough? I need to go bigger.
Honestly, I know that people want to hear a crazy story about this, but there is not a crazy story. This is not something that we were thinking about. People started approaching us. We had keep on growing the office, and we even thought about opening a second location for ourselves, but not franchising. But people who knew us, customers, other relationships that we had, they said, I'm thinking about opening a franchise insurance agency, but I have interviewed this company and that company, and I don't want to do it with them for whatever reason. Why don't you guys do it? And we were like, you know, this is rolling. We don't want to lose the momentum. We have a good life, blah blah blah. But they kept on asking, do it. I'll do it with you. Like if you do it, I'll buy you the franchise. Crazy enough, three people approached us with this idea, and I'm like, maybe the universe is telling us what to do, what the next step is, and we decided to go for it. It took us a long time. I'm kind of a perfectionist,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me a lot of. That's how we met. I reached out to you, and I reached out to a lot of different people that until I got the contract that I felt comfortable with. And the first, once we had the contract ready, we closed three franchises that we did it at your office.
Yes,
My franchises number one, two, and three.
that's right.
And from there, it started like I always say it's so satisfying to me when I get someone my husband interviews and he always asks, "How do you know? How did you know about us?" And people refer us, like customers refer us, um, franchisees. That's crazy. We have people that come to us and say, "Buy a franchise from them." We have people sending us prospects from the insurance carriers, marketing reps, that people ask them, who do you think is the best choice? And they go with Sabanda. That has been crazy. And obviously, the more that you grow, you start getting referrals from other sources. But those are my favorite ones because those are people that know someone else who's in business with you and they feel comfortable enough to say, go do it too.
And some of the franchisees are buying more locations themselves.
Several franchisees have two and three locations.
And that's the testament of how successful their business is. Nobody is crazy out of their mind. If they're failing, they're going to buy a second one, a third one, right?
Correct.
So that tells the next franchisee that if this guy's buying two or three, that means he's doing incredibly well. Look, franchisees sell franchises for you better than any other salesperson
That's
because they're in the business. They actually work in the business. They know exactly what's happening. And if they're opening a second or third or fourth location, it's telling the next guy, hey, listen, this is a very successful franchise. By the way, I've been meaning to ask you, the name Sabanda, how did you come up with that name?
I had a name before I had a business. I always knew that I was going to be a business owner, and the name comes from my kids. My son's name is Sebastian. My daughter's Fernanda. So I combined.
I love it.
I combined. I gave each of them the same amount of letters, and I put the A in the middle. So Sebanda is the combination of my kids' name.
And you have two kids?
I have two kids.
Just like I do, yeah. Well, that's fantastic. That's a great story. That's the great story. So you French. So I obviously you came to us. You came to me. I helped you. I remember sitting down with you, going over the documents and giving you the guidance and everything else. And you became a franchise. You went out there, like you said. We sold a few franchises for you, and you got on your path of success. Um, you have today 151 locations, and you're growing incredibly fast. I'm watching Sabanda as one of my. It's like when you see one of your babies grow and you're so proud of them, and that's the pride I take. Your name or logo is in our conference room, and I take a lot of pride in that.
Thank you.
So yeah, so I remember you coming to our office 8 years ago. I saw you and your husband, and you obviously hired us to help you put the whole franchise together. We did. We put you. We suggested a lot of things. I personally got involved and basically made the franchise into an opportunity for it to grow, right? So I look at you as that business that came to us as a baby and today is a monster.
We were really lost when we came to you.
Yeah, you.
So
yeah.
you were a lot of help. And
Thank
by
you.
the way, I want to mention that your name is Genius because that's how I found you. I went to Google and I said, how to create a franchise creator. So that's what
That's
that's what
funny.
made it for me. I'm like, if you come up with a name that specifically answers my question, I have to go there.
Well, I appreciate that compliment. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think branding is very important, right? In
Yes.
any business, branding is important. If you have because people remember you by your brand, right? That's basically what it is, right? So it's almost like a name. If your name is super complicated, you're gonna have a hard time, people remembering it. But if you have a short, quick name, like my name is complicated, right? But if you have your name is John, Tim, Joe, I mean, people are gonna remember that really
Correct.
quickly, right? You've done a great job with branding. Sabanda, you mentioned how you started it, which is very cute, and that branding is extremely important because it's a short name. If you look at some of your competitors, they have names that are, at least here in Miami, they have names that are very Latin,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they can be pronounced two different ways or three different ways.
Correct.
Um, but you've picked a name that, yes, it hits home for you because
Mm-hmm.
it always
It's
reminds you
got
of your
some
kids.
meaning.
Yeah, it has a meaning, but also it's short. Sabanda. It's a single word letter, and people are gonna remember it, right? And no matter where in the country you grow, it's gonna be pronounced Sabanda. There's only one way to pronounce it, right? There's no other way. Look at a company called Pollo Tropical. Pollo Tropical has a hard time getting out of Florida because
Correct.
of their brand.
Because it's a very Latino name.
It's a very Latino name. People pronounce it Polo. People don't even know it's chicken. What is this? But yours is very, very simple, right? So, um, you franchise your business. You're now getting all of these leads. They're coming to you. You're selling these franchises, and you've grown to 151 location. Um, how has it been? Working. Talk to me about the inner working of you and your husband. How do you suggest people work with their family, people that they see every single day, to come to work and go
It's
home with them?
hard. My husband gets mad at me because I say no, don't do it. Obviously, it works for us. My husband and I have an amazing work relationship just because we're lucky enough to respect each other in that environment. I trust his expertise, he trusts mine, but it's very hard and it takes a toll in marriage. I can only be honest with people. We have days that we need a break from each other because you are raising a family, you have the regular problems that a marriage has. On top of that, a business that you're growing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of conflicts, and we were lucky enough to work through those, and to at the beginning, like, we would do everything together. Like, if we had a meeting, okay, we do it together. And we decided that's a bad idea because he would want to say something, I would hold it, and vice versa. So he is very good at what he does. And I think I can do what I do well. And after probably a couple of years, we decided, okay, this is your thing, that's my thing. And now we separate most of everything. We still, for big decisions, we have to be in an agreement. We're 50-50 partners. Sometimes something that should be decided in a day takes us a month. But at the end, it works for us. And I wouldn't do it any other way. We survived. Because I know a lot of people that they started working with their husband, and they ended up in a divorce. They had to sell them. It was, a bad idea. For us, it works, and it's better with the years. Like, I love working with him, and he better say the same thing.
Well, I'm not going to be interviewing him, so don't worry about that. We're going to assume he's saying the same thing. He has to be saying the same thing because you guys have worked together every single day, and you're really doing
It's
well,
been
right?
13 years working together.
13 years. Jamie, I'm going to I want the world to know that you started the business from scratch. First of all, you came to this country, your husband on a raft. You came to this country just like I did as an immigrant, and you got a job, but that wasn't enough. You started a business, and you built that business, overcame all the obstacles, and built that business into a $200 million company. Okay? And probably even more. But we're just going to put that tag on it. And as an immigrant, you did the impossible, right? Made the impossible possible. Why is it, you think, that, and that's true for a lot of immigrants, right? If you look at a lot of the major businesses, they have an immigrant story behind them.
Correct.
What do you think is the reason why immigrants succeed in this country?
I think we're used to struggle. I think we're used to having things happen because we need to work for it. Like, nothing is given to us. I don't know. Like, I tell people all the time, people tell me these things about me and what I have done, and I don't feel special because of it. I always say that entrepreneurs don't want to use the word luck because it makes them feel somehow out of control or it hurts their ego. But I also say, I always say that that word has to be in the equation. Okay, you have to be smart, you have to be willing to put in the work, you have to, so many things, but also luck has to be in the equation. And I consider myself someone who, for some reason, have been able to put every single thing in that equation work year after year after year. Um, I don't know why Latinos, we go through much. By the time that I was 19, I was a fully grown woman. Like my daughter is 20 and her life is completely different. And tell me, and I tell you, I tell my kids all the time, you guys are amazing, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you don't have to work so hard, but you still do.
Do they have a job?
They don't have a job yet. They are going through internships, but those kids take so many classes. They get good grades. They put in the work. They don't procrastinate. They take internships and they don't have to do it,
Because they know you have their support,
but they still do
but
it.
they still do it.
They still take pride in saying, I am lucky enough to have all of this support for myself, but I want to do it for me. And that's something that I think is number one in the equation. When you have that pride in I can do more, not ego, because I have a huge problem with big egos. There's no need for that. But you have to have pride in you as a human being. Like, I can do it. If somebody else did it, I can still do it. Is it gonna take me longer? Maybe. Do I have to probably put in more work? Yes. I tell people all the time, for me to learn English, and I'm still learning, don't get me wrong, I know my accent, I know that sometimes I mispronounce words, but English is my second language.
Hmm.
But I had a dictionary with me at all times for years because if there was a word that I didn't understand, I learned it right there. I was like, I have to put a word in a sentence. I have to learn how to pronounce it. And I tell my kids all the time, every time I'm in public and I say something wrong, don't correct me in front of people, but please remember, as soon as we're together, let me know how to pronounce it. And that applies for everything. If you want to create a business, you have to learn. You have to put in the time to learn the legalities of the business, the everything that comes with it. And when that's what we provide for our franchises, we don't only teach you how to sell insurance, we teach you how to become a great business person. You need to learn about payroll, you need to learn about liabilities, need to learn so many things, and not everybody's willing to do that. So I guess Latinos are willing to put in the work because they have no choice. Like, that's, we come to this world and we have to work hard for everything that we have.
That's right.
And the difference is probably, and I don't want to offend anybody because I travel is my passion, and the only reason why traveling is my passion is because I love to learn about other people,
New cultures.
new cultures, new ways of doing things. Uh, People think differently, but at the same time, they have so much in common. And when you have a struggle in your upbringing, it gives you that toughness that you keep on going because you know life is hard.
That's
And
right.
in order to survive, you have to put in a little bit more. I guess that's the reason, but who knows?
You're 100% correct. You know, everything you said is exactly how I think about the reason why entrepreneurs, when you divide them into immigrants and non-immigrants, born here and immigrants, for me, I see immigrants always starting in my way of thinking. We start this race three laps behind from
Correct.
everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this race is going on. They know the language, they know the culture, they have their
They
friends,
know the system.
they know
I
this.
come from a communist country.
That's right.
I didn't know capitalism.
That's right.
My mind had to switch from the mentality of socialism to the mentality of capitalism.
Capitalism, yeah,
So whatever you think of, I had to learn.
100%.
I had to rethink it.
Yes,
I have to question it.
that's right. That's and you have to learn it. So that's what I'm saying. We as immigrants, we start the race three laps behind, right? So we got to learn the language, the culture, the friends. Just know the know-how. Like if I know this guy and that guy, that puts me at an advantage, right? But I don't know anyone, so I got to build this network of friends. So then you're catching up. So in other words, you got to run a lot faster just to catch up to everybody else. And because that you have that momentum of running faster is the reason why you get ahead eventually of everybody else. And that's incredibly important because, you know, the road is a lot harder for us immigrants into this in
You
this
have
country.
to, I teach my kids this. The most important word is balance. But in order for you to make something work, you have to be very imbalanced. So the idea is that, okay, I know that if I stay balanced now, nothing is going to move, right? But I am going to become very imbalanced to be balanced at some point in my life.
That's right. So Sabanda Insurance, as a franchise, you guys are growing incredibly fast. So now tell me, when somebody buys a franchise from you, what are they getting, right? So I know it's an insurance agency, but why would they buy a franchise instead of just opening something on your own like you did?
Our franchise model have been perfected for years now. It's a very fair contract for the franchisees. It's a very profitable contract. Aside of that, like I mentioned, you get not only we don't make you learn how to become an insurance agent, you also learn how to become a business owner. You receive it's like a turnkey house. You receive support from after the signature, unlimited. And people tell me, how can you make that happen? Isn't that very costly for you? It's not, because we have been able to perfect our departments, and we have continuous training for the agents and their employees at no cost, no additional cost. Because I know a lot of franchises, they charge you for additional trainings. We don't. And why don't we? Because we believe that the more training that the agents have, the agency is gonna be more profitable. The franchise model is so effective because the franchisor doesn't make money if the franchisee is not making money. So we put in all the effort in the world to make the franchises successful. So they receive contracts that are more profitable than, because we are such a big group, we receive better contracts and they benefit from that. The support, the trainings, the discounts for all the vendors.
So when they buy it, and let me interrupt you, when they buy a franchise, they automatically are grandfathered in with the contracts. They get the
Correct.
contracts.
Correct.
They don't have to worry about carriers or any of
And
that.
they receive
That's
contracts
huge.
that it takes an insurance agency 15 years to get a contract like that.
100%.
They will get it right away. So it's like giving you a turnkey high end property. You don't have to worry about anything at a very reasonable price.
And if they have a problem, they have someone to call.
We have a
Something
whole
you didn't
team.
have.
We have a whole team of people for each department.
Okay, so how long does it take from the moment they sign till the moment the doors are open? How long does it take?
It depends on the franchisee, but it could be accomplished within a month and a half.
So it's basically a standard shopping center inline store that they're getting, I imagine, what, about 700, 600 square foot type of thing?
It could be smaller.
Could be even
also.
smaller.
Some people do that. Some people get a smaller place, but I think the requirement is 500. I'm not sure at the moment, but some people get a smaller place and then they move uh, to make it more cost effectively at the beginning and then they move. But usually they start with a medium sized office because they come with the referral, they come with the knowledge that it's working for so many people that it's gonna
What? Yeah,
correct.
don't want to mess what's
One
working.
year is you blink and a year passed by, and after a year a franchise is fully completely making money.
That's right. I mean, and what I like about there's a lot of things about your I like about your business, but what I like about your business also is that when you buy a franchise, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on developing the store. Like for example, if you're doing a restaurant, it's gonna take you 9 months of construction,
And a
permitting,
lot of
this, that,
money. It's
and a lot of money.
the cost is
And you're not
incredible.
making money in those 9 months. With your business, you go to work, a month later, you start making money, and you don't have all of these headaches that are involved with it.
The startup cost is nothing.
Nothing.
Like our design, we designed it to look good, but at the same time it's very cost effective to create the office.
Do they come to you for training? Do you have online training?
We
How is
do
it?
work fully online now. At the beginning, we had in-person training. Then we went from in-person and online. But now it's completely online because people prefer like that. Because you have a training at this time, but then you could continue selling policies or doing something else that you need to do in the office. So you don't have to move to a location. And it took us a couple of months to understand that people were not coming to the office anymore to get the training, so we are fully online at the moment.
Any other services aside from that you're planning to offer in the future for your through your
No, we
franchisees?
are only
You want to
insurance.
keep it as
We
insurance.
don't want to do any other services, and just because we have so many different lines of insurance that we offer and so many different carriers that we don't need to offer any other services. It's a full independent agency. I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure it's over 100 carriers that we represent. And we sell every line of insurance from auto, commercial, homeowners, flood, life, health, anything you can think of, but aviation or train.
Beautiful.
The rest we can insure.
Beautiful. When they buy into these franchises, can someone expand to the second, third, fourth, fifth location? Does it make sense? But before you answer that question, I want you to tell me, how do they get customers? So, obviously, if the customers are coming in, then the expansion happens faster. When they open the doors, how do they get their first customers? Are you going to help them with that, or are they going to do it on their own?
Of course, we have a marketing department that brings in leads. Our brand is recognized. We put in a lot of money into the brand, and it's every franchise benefits. We do regional marketing, we do global marketing, we cover new areas that we have not been open yet. So they start getting marketing from before the location is opened.
So he's basically just somebody's. Honestly, it seems like you're doing your franchisees a favor. Just get a franchise, and before you know it, you're making money. We're doing the marketing for you. We help you with grand opening. We'll help you with training. You're going to help them with everything else. It sounds to me like when somebody buys a franchise, they should look at the second, third, fourth location before it's taken.
They still have to put in the work, okay? But we have the whole process from the beginning until whenever they need it, we're there for them.
So my final question, and I'm gonna go back to for you to tell people how they can find you and everything else. But my final question is, what would you say to other? I mean, you built a massive empire out of nothing, literally nothing. You came to this country empty-handed, and then you took that opportunity that you're here, and you worked hard, but you worked smart. You didn't work just hard, but you worked smart, and you built an empire. What advice do you have to other immigrants from various countries that are coming here? What advice you have for them that can help them get to where you are today?
First advice is you're willing to be unbalanced. You're willing to put in the work. It is a lot of hours, a lot of sacrifices. It's not easy. People see online the success, they don't see the road to success. You need to be willing to sacrifice. You need to be willing to put in the work. You need to be able and willing to educate yourself because you need to learn, especially immigrants that come from countries that they don't care about progress. You need to learn everything. You come from zero. So put in the work. Don't be afraid of people saying, this is something that I always mention because people tell me, oh, because I don't speak English, or we are a Latino I'm sorry. Me pongo a pensar en el idioma y I change. We are, our niche is Latino people, and we have several franchises that they don't speak English. It doesn't mean they don't have to learn it. We tell them all the time, you need to start learning English because you are in the United States. But don't pay attention to what you're lacking to start. Just start, and then you will perfection. You will learn, you will grab this, and you will say, I'm lacking this part of the business. Let me go for it and learning. So if I had to say something, do not wait until you're ready to make the decision to start, because most people are not ready for anything.
That's
Just
right.
just start, and then you will continue to grow and learn along the way.
I love that. I love that. I think of it as this, like when I see somebody with a nice car, with a nice house, um, what I look at it differently. People look at that guy and say, they get jealous. Oh, look at that guy driving that, too bad I can't have it, or whatever. Jealousy comes out. For me, I look at it very differently. I want to go hear the guy's story. And I'm like, man, this guy must have an hell of a story.
You want to get inspired by that,
Yeah, I want to. I want to know where your bullet wounds are, right? Because you
Correct.
went to that battle, and that battle, I'm sure you got some. You got hit. You got hit hard. You got slapped in the face. You got punched in the face,
And you got up again,
and
and
you
you
got up again,
continue.
and you continued. Tell me your story. That's what I want to hear when I see somebody living in a nice house, on the water, and or whatever the case is. So that's the difference. By the way, speaking of a house on the water, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember when this is going back 6 years ago.
I remember.
I was looking for a house on the water. My wife and I were shopping,
I
right?
was
So
doing the
we're out
same
there.
thing.
Yes. So I'm out there looking at this property, and then it was an open house. And I look back, and there you are. You and Jose are there looking at the same property. When I left, I told my wife Norma this. I said, "This is the type of stuff that makes me happy. It just perks me up to know that these are two immigrants. I'm an immigrant. You're an immigrant with your husband. We're both looking at a house on the water."
This business has changed our lives, but it has also changed so many people's life. I tell people all the time, every time a franchisee calls me and say, I just bought my first $1 million house. That drives me crazy. That it makes me so, and I want you to come to my open house. I had a franchise who one time wrote to me and said, I went into a store and I bought my kids so many things, and I did not look at the tag, at the price tag, and I wanted to write and say that Sebanda did this for me. This business has changed the lives of so many people, that including myself,
Of
of
course,
course.
of course.
But that is, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. Believable. It's very I get emotional
Yes, yes.
every time I talk about not my success, but the success of my franchises, because they come to you trusting you. Are you going? Is this business actually gonna do to me what you're saying is going to do to me? And then it does, and that is the best thing ever.
Success really begins when it comes to franchising. It's a bottom up type of a success story, meaning that um, if your franchisees are successful, then you're successful.
Correct.
When in real business, regular non-franchise businesses, you're talking about employees, it's top to bottom. In other words, if you're successful, then your employees get to keep their job and they're successful, right? But in franchising, you have to make sure that your franchisees are successful. And that success resonates right back
It's a
up to you.
model that works. We are a relatively young franchise. We have been franchising for 6, 7 years. We are not only in Florida, we are in Texas, we are in Georgia. My franchises sell insurance throughout the country. So you don't have to have a physical office in Georgia to sell insurance because we have been able to create a contract and we have been able to create a company that can sell insurance interstate without having a location in that state. You still have to have a physical location, and that's why we are expanding to Texas and we're expanding to Georgia, and we're going to be expanding to so many other states. But people in Georgia can sell insurance in Florida. People in Florida can sell insurance in Texas and vice versa. So it's an amazing model.
It's a
It's a
beautiful
beautiful
it's a
business.
beautiful
It's a
business. It's
beautiful
a
business.
beautiful business. Jamie, I gotta tell you, you are a star that I have on my shoulder. Why? Because again, I want to say this that you came to me and you guys had just nothing. You had opened a business, you had one location. Today you're sitting here across from me and I was able to help you to get you to where you are today, and your company is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And it makes me incredibly happy, right? Good things happen to good people.
Thank
You
you.
and your husband are good people, and I'm so glad. And I want you to go further. I want you to take this business to places no one has ever been
And
before.
I want to say to you that knocking on your door years ago was one of the best things that happened to us. You helped us a lot with your knowledge, your experience. We learned a lot from you, and I'm happy to be back here with you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I appreciate you. If you can please tell everyone, we're going to obviously, the video is going to say it on the bottom. If you can tell everyone how someone that's interested in buying a franchise, where do they go?
You go to the website, and then you will have a very simple form that you put your
Is
name,
it Sabanda Insurance?
sebandainsurance.com.
Perfect.
And you put your name, your telephone number, and an email, and someone from that department will be reaching you.
So your franchise, to be honest with you, Jamie, is so special that, frankly, it's one of those things that if I had nothing else to do and I was done with everything else, all the entrepreneurship that I'm doing, I would buy this franchise.
Thank you.
And I sincerely mean it because it's one of those things that doesn't require a whole lot of work, and you make money. You're getting a lot of help. Obviously, they have to work, but at the end of the day, it has a chance for expansion. I can get one
The
location.
perfect formula. Very little investment and a lot of return.
So happy and so proud of you guys. And it was a pleasure having you today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys continue to growing.
Thank you so very much.